Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope everyone's doing well. Uh, so, we're going to be finishing off the Trojan War today. Hello, Tony Chan. Welcome in, welcome in. It's lovely to see you here. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you for the first time chat as well. Um, I see you a lot in Sas's and Astria's chat. Oh, thank you so much for the follow as well. That's so kind. Thank you. How are you, Tony? Are you having a nice day? Well, yeah, we're going to be finishing off the book today. There's two sections left. A chapter and sort of a conclusion. But I can say that the last chapter deals with the most famous aspect of the Trojan War, and that is the Trojan horse. And I will kind of be looking into. There's a couple of paragraphs talking about what the Trojan horse might have been, according to those who really don't see any possibility in the Trojan horse existing in any form, usually seeing it as some kind of mistake. I'm doing good, just relaxing today. Nice one, nice one. Uh, I had a bit of a busy day, I suppose. Just setting up some stuff, going to the gym, going for a run, doing some practicing with singing, and doing some reading of my own outside of stream, and then just trying to work out some audio stuff because I was having some issues with always having to have my alerts coming through like my regular audio. Is that what I would say? Yeah, my desktop audio. And I had no idea how to separate it until I realized, oh, it's actually fairly simple. Thank God YouTube exists because it just allows you to look up whatever your issue is and immediately solve it. So handy. But now I can actually hear my alerts without having to have any random audio that I hear come on stream. So that's good. But yeah, so I am a little bit tired today. I've just been busy, but I kind of always enjoy Monday because it's the start of my new kind of work, like gym session. So like, despite any work or anything that you have to do, at least I know, hey, it's back to the gym. I can go be healthy again after the weekends. Although I am decent enough at going to the gym on Saturday at least, but I always leave Sunday. I always leave Sunday to be a day to just relax. I do not do a thing on Sunday that involves like too much effort. Unless it's like I don't consider it effort going out to like meeting up with friends or anything. But other than that, it's mostly just a chill out day, a day for me to catch up on reading, or sometimes I have to prepare for other things going on in the week. But other than that, it's good. It's good. But I'm happy you're doing well, Tony. Um, I hope the start of the week is treating you okay, whether you're working or going to college or school or whichever it is for you. Because I know the start of the week can be rough to get back into things, and it always seems like the that the weekend goes so fast. It's over so stupidly quick. I think it doesn't help that really you get only really like one whole day off, one day where you do the Friday you're working or something, um, and then you get the rest of the day to do nothing and the night to do nothing. Sunday you get the day off, but you have to prepare to get up early in the morning. Um, if you're someone like me who enjoys to sleep in on his day off, uh, but you can't stay up late or anything. And I, as a night owl, I definitely do stay up. Saturday then is really the only day of respite you get. Work has been a lot of stress for me this month, but hanging in there. I was working all 7 days this month. Ooh, that sounds rough, Tony. I hope things are able to calm down for you, because I when I was doing my some work recently, I for the most part got away with just working regular and time during the regular work week. Only like one day did I have not one day, but like for the couple of months I was there, it was very rare that I had to work overtime or be pulled into other things. But that was just part of my position. It was only like a college uh, kind of session, so I wasn't too important to the grand scheme of things. But I do hope you're able to de-stress a little. Definitely a good day to just relax. It has now got my normal schedule. It has now my normal schedule is back to 5 days. Okay, excellent, excellent. Hopefully they remember your hard work. Although I wouldn't put it past them. But hopefully they remember your hard work and you're able to you get a nice bump or something. You get some recognition in there. Uh, like anyway, I was similarly to the past couple of days, I was working on singing, trying to get the higher ranges, and I really noticed not today, but a couple of days ago. Um, I think it was Friday, one of the days anyway. And I only noticed it because it was later. A raise, more like a yeah. That's kind of what I meant by a bump, like some sort of bump in wage, or salary. Because that sounds like a rough bit of time, Tony. Uh, but I don't know what it was. I can only think that it was probably in some sort of combination of the fact that I had gone for a run, so like my body was already warmed up. When I got home and I started like just kind of messing around singing in the shower and afterwards, I felt my voice felt so ridiculously free. It could like I was hitting notes that like I hadn't hit since I was a child, you know. Well, not a child, but like as a before my voice fully broke. Um, and it was such a strange feeling to be able to like now, to be fair, I kind of sounded like Mickey Mouse at times, but it wasn't like I was screeching to get up to that type of range. It actually sounded decent enough. And uh and just messing around with like kind of my normal higher range felt so much easier. Although I will say yesterday and today have not been as free, so obviously things just aligned perfectly in that way. I think it shows that whatever happened, I had like good control over my body, but I think it shows how good trained singers are, because I mean the reason why they do all those types of breathing exercises and everything else is to always have that so on point. Um, even to the way that they're able to kind of just mess around on stage. I was listening to Luther Vandross doing a live version of Never Too Much, and just the way he plays around with his voice, because he's so talented and skilled in his voice. You know, his voice already, I'm sure, was just a good voice already, just naturally, him growing up in whatever the environment he did grow up in, but then trained it to such a high level that, you know, he can get on stage, wow the people, and kind of just play around with any song he's doing. But I'm not too sure I'll ever get to there, but I will hopefully get a decent ability in singing. But yeah, that's kind of what I was mostly up to today. And I guess in the gym I was just doing some back and biceps, so staying healthy. But I suppose with that, what I might do is I might go and I might begin the reading. So last time when we left off, we sort of finished the main story of the Iliad, and we began to move over to some of the other texts that are found later on in history, in Greece, classical Greece, and in Rome, and a little bit around that period. And they kind of followed on the story, filling in some of the details, sometimes being from what's known as the epic saga, and other times not fully being fully reliable, I suppose one could say. But we followed mostly the story of the Iliad up to the final, with the penultimate meeting between Achilles and Hector, and the fatal situation that occurred there, as well as we looked at how the Greeks, the Achaeans, would have been attempting to besiege Greece, and the issues and difficulties they would have faced, the layout of Greece from the archaeological excavations, showing how it was well built to funnel enemy soldiers into tight corridors, which would make it easy to rain down arrows and slings upon them, while also making it very difficult for them to take cover or to push any sort of siege weaponry or something. But now we move on to chapter 11, and let me just double check something real quick. Oh, also, I found out why. I noticed yesterday that my stream bitrate was so low, stupidly low. It was like down in 2000. But it turned out that my settings had, for some reason, just reset for streaming. I think it might have been because I set it to an advanced version, but it didn't update my settings for some reason, or keep my settings from what I already had them. But we should be good now. Let me pull myself up a little. But I suppose we... You know what? It is getting a little late. I actually think I'm... Maybe in a small while I will change over to... I might build us a fire. But I hope you all enjoy the final section of reading. Chapter 11. The Knight of the Horse. He is the last Greek at Troy. Pale in the morning light, he looks like a weak and ragged runaway. But looks can be deceiving. Sinon, as he is called, claims to be a deserter, the only Greek remaining when the entire enemy and its cursed fleet had suddenly departed. But can he be trusted? His name, Sinon, means pest, bane, or misfortune in Greek, leading some historians to consider it a nickname, like the Desert Fox for German General Ernst Rommel, or a generic name like Bones for a military doctor. Sinon played a key role in the plot to take Troy, although he is often forgotten, overshadowed by the most famous trick in Western civilization. The famous horse may be imagined as a tall and well-crafted wooden structure, towering over the wildflowers of the Scamander River plain, Its body is made of the pine of Mount Ida, a tree today known as Pinus Trojani, Trojan horse pine, and renowned since antiquity as a material for shipbuilding. The horse's eyes are obsidian and amber, its teeth ivory, its crest made of real horsehair, streams in the breeze. Its hooves shine like polished marble, and hidden inside are 9 Greek warriors. Everyone knows the stories. The story. The Greeks are said to have packed up the horses, men, weapons, and booty, set fire to their huts, and departed at night for the nearby island of Tenedos, where they hid their ships. All that they left behind was a Trojan horse and a spy, Sinon, pretending to be a deserter. The Trojans were amazed to discover that after all these years the enemy had slunk home. But what were they to do with the horse? After a fierce debate, they brought it into the city as an offering to Athena. There were wild celebrations. The Trojans underestimated the cunning of their adversaries. That night, the men inside the horse sneaked out, opened the city gates to the men of the Greek fleet, who had taken advantage of Troy's drunken distraction to sail back to Tenedos. They proceeded to sack the city and win the war. Everyone knows the story, but nobody loves the Trojan horse. Although scholars disagree about much of the Trojan War, they nearly all share the conviction that the Trojan horse is a fiction. From Roman times on, there have been theories that the Trojan horse was really a siege tower, or an image of a horse on a city gate left unlocked by pro-Greek antenor, or a metaphor for a new Greek fleet, because Homer calls ships horses of the sea, or a symbol of the god Poseidon, who destroyed Troy in an earthquake, or a folk tale similar to those found in Egyptian literature and the Hebrew Bible. There has been every sort of theory about the Trojan horse, except that it really existed. Many of these theories sound convincing, particularly the horse as siege engine. I believe I actually mentioned this during one of the first reading streams. Since Bronze Age Assyrians named their siege towers after horses, among other animals. And sometimes I've often also heard that supposedly they would be designed in such way, kind of similar to how ships would have scary masts of animals, depending on which group you're looking at. The ship, not the mast, sorry, the bow, I think. Maybe prow. But sometimes a horse is just a horse. Although epic tradition might exaggerate the details of the Trojan horse and misunderstand its purpose, that the object existed and that it played a role in tricking the Trojans into leaving their city without defenses might just be true. And obviously this is the author getting a little bit into sort of conjecturing about what may have happened, but I do think that he offers a fair consideration, a fair idea of what the horse might have actually been. More about the horse presently. In the meantime, let us return to the spy whom the Greeks left behind. Although Sinon is less dramatic than the famous horse, he was no less effective as an agent of subversion, and he inspires far more confidence as a genuine historical figure. The Trojan horse is unique and improbable, although not impossible, but Sinon plays a well-attested role in unconventional warfare as it was waged in the Bronze Age. In Virgil's retelling in the Aeneid, Sinon pretends to be a deserter in order to work his way into Troy. He testifies that the Greeks have left for good and argues that the Trojan horse is a genuine gift and not some trick. Eventually, after a stormy debate, the Trojans decide to bring the horse into the city. Deceit is not unique to the Trojan saga. It was a fundamental ingredient in Hittite military doctrine. Consider some examples. A king broke off the siege of a fortress with the approach of winter, only to send his general back to storm the unsuspecting city after it had gone off alert. A general sent agents into the opposing camp before battle, where they pretended to be deserters and tricked the enemy into letting his guard down. Another king attacked a neighbour via a roundabout route to avoid enemy scouts. Nor were the Hittites alone in their use of trickery. For example, the siege of one Mesopotamian city by another involved sneak attacks at night and the impersonation of an allied unit of soldiers in an attempt to lull the besieged into opening their gates, although this failed. Think of the fall of Troy not as a myth about a horse, but as an example of unconventional warfare, Bronze Age style. The Trojan horse might better be known as the Trojan red herring. Everybody focuses on the horse, but perhaps the real story lies elsewhere. In fact, it would be possible to leave out the Trojan horse and yet tell a credible and coherent narrative of the capture of Troy, much as the ancients told it. Without the Trojan horse, the story might go like this. The Greeks decided to trick the Trojans into thinking they had gone home when, in fact, they had merely retreated to Tenedos. Once they had lulled the enemy into dropping his guard, they planned to return in a surprise attack, at night. To know when to move, the Greeks would look for a lighted torch signal, to be given by a Greek in Troy, who had pretended to turn traitor and desert. Signals were used often in ancient battles, most famously at Marathon, 490 BC, when a Greek traitor in the hills flashed a shield in the sunlight to communicate with the Persians. In the clear skies of the Mediterranean, fire signals could be seen from far off. They were visible as smoke signals during the day and as beacons at night. Tests show that the signals were visible between the mountain tops up to a distance of 200 miles. At the sign, the Greeks would row rapidly to Troy. The final part of the plan required a few men inside Troy to open the city gate. These men might either have been Trojan traitors or Greeks who had sneaked into the city. With the emergency supposedly over, Troy's gatekeepers would not have proved difficult to overcome. Compare the set of tricks by which the South Italian port city of Tarentum was betrayed in turn to Hannibal and then to the Romans. In 213 BC, a pro-Carthaginian citizen of Tarentum arranged for Carthaginian soldiers to come back with him from a nighttime hunting expedition. The soldiers wore breastplates and held swords under their buckskins. They even carried a wild boar in front to appear authentic. Once the city gate was opened to them, they slaughtered the guards, and Hannibal's army rushed in. 4 years later, the Romans under Fabius Maximus, I believe he might be one of the sword and the shield of Rome. I can't remember their names. Fabius Maximus recaptured the city by having a local girl seduce the commander of Hannibal's garrison. He agreed to guide Roman troops over the walls at night, while Fabius's ships created a distraction at the harbour wall on the other side of town. Although these events took place 1,000 years after the Trojan War, they could easily have been carried out with Bronze Age technology. The Greek plan at Troy was to trick the enemy into dropping his guard. It worked. The Trojans relaxed. At that point, one Greek inside the city lit a signal fire to bring the Greek fleet back and then opened the gate. The island of Tenedos lies about 7 miles, or 6 nautical miles, from the Trojan harbour. The Greeks might have moored their ships in one of the sheltered coves of the island's east coast, near Troy but out of sight, at a rate of about 5 knots, about that of a 32-oared Scandinavian longship travelling 100 miles. I do apologise, but I gotta head out. Take care, Ruadh. No worries, Tony. Have a good day, whatever it is you're doing. I know you are quite busy modding for people, so enjoy. Take care. Thank you for joining. They could have covered a distance in little more than an hour. That is, in daylight. The trip would no doubt have taken longer at night, but the sack of Ilium claims it was a moonlit night, and anyhow, Bronze Age armies knew how to march by night. So the trip from Tenedos took perhaps no more than 2 hours. From the Trojan harbour it was another 5 miles by land to Troy. It was night time and the road was primitive, but the Greeks knew it well. They could have covered the distance in 3 hours. Athenian sources claim that the month was Thargelion, roughly modern May. At that time of year, sunrise at Troy is 5:30 to 6 a.m., sunset 8 to 8:30. If the Greeks left Tenedos at, say, 9 p.m., and if everything went without a hitch, they would have arrived at Troy before sunrise. They would arrive at Troy between 2 and 3 a.m., that is, about 3 hours before sunrise. A forced march may have gotten the Greeks to Troy an hour or so earlier. Thank you so much, Sunny Day Enjoyer, based, very based. I too enjoy a nice sunny day, although I must admit it hasn't been particularly sunny in my area very much. And thank you as well for the first time chat. I love this topic. I love it's very, very interesting. If you would like to have another VTuber, he's actually currently reading the Iliad. Son Albionus, very, very nice guy, very cool guy. But he's reading the Iliad book by book, or sometimes two books. But he was actually kind of the reason I decided to read this book. But thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. How are you? Are you having a nice time? Having a good day? A good start to your week? As good a start to the week as any can be, I suppose. Having an amazing day. Just relaxing after doing some exercise outside. Nice one, nice one. I did some exercise myself recently. I was talking about it earlier, but I did some some gym work, back and biceps, and then I went for a short run, about, I think it was somewhere around 4 or 5k. So doing well. But that's good. Were you just going for a run? Were you doing kind of sprinting, maybe like skipping or something? Or maybe you have like an outdoor gym. Those seem really cool. Or even just going to like the playground. A 5k is a short run. It can be. I mean, like, I don't necessarily consider it a short run either. It was probably less than 5k. I can't really remember. I don't think it was, but I mean, for some it is. I did some cycling with a group. I did really well, I think. I had such a good pace despite not trying my hardest. Nice one. I have a friend who is a cyclist as well, and he's competed at pretty high levels. He's very, very fit. So for him, a 5k run would be easy. But I know he regularly cycles like 100 plus k for fun on the weekends. He's a fit guy. Hey Clever, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. Hope your day is going well. Hope your Monday has started off well. We're just continuing the reading. I'm experimenting, not burning myself that much, so I can do more for more days. Not a bad idea, because I know overtraining is a thing. I'm not good at maths exams. Oh no, Clever. Did you have a maths exam? It sounds like you did, and it sounds like it didn't go well. But yeah, overtraining is definitely a thing. Although it can be difficult to overtrain. But yeah, it's definitely, if you can constantly do something, you only get better and you only improve at it. Although of course it is important to at times push yourself hard. So like, I'm trying to figure out a way to incorporate sprints, because usually I just go running on my on the gym treadmill. But I definitely want to. The annoying thing is that, actually no, I won't say. But simply it's it can be hard sometimes to find a place just to go like full belt sprinting. But I'll find it, or I'll just have to do it on the concrete and accept shin splints. Yeah, I don't know how it went. I'm sure it went okay. I'm sure it went fine. Many times I came out of an exam thinking, God, I did not do well in that. And then it turned out okay. It might not be an amazing score, but you know, as long as you do decently enough, I think. Like I can feel my body getting a recession when I try to push myself so much, and then it's hard to force my body to do stuff. Hmm. Hmm. I kind of get what you mean. Is it like you push yourself beyond your boundaries and you just be out beyond kind of your limits, and then for the next day or two you're just absolutely flat. I hope I pass the class with 100% on home. I hope I pass the class with 100% on homework assignments. I'm sure you will. I'm gonna take the positive route. You can take like the negative one if you want, clever. But I think you'll do okay. I need time and reference material to do math. I need a calculator and explanations on how to do the math. Although I was decent at math, I just didn't put much effort into it in comparison to how much I should have, to be quite honest. Math is fun, my favorite subject. It's weird seeing you guys spell it math when for me it's maths. Mathematics. But that's good, Sonny. Mine probably was well history. Nowadays I just make programs to do maths. Oh, are you a programmer sociopath? Yeah, I was thinking the same, Sonny. Sonny, you madman. I know another VTuber who does a lot of programming stuff just randomly on his stream. His whole stream, like his V model or his model itself is like made in out of like ASCII, and he regularly shows like himself coding a bunch of stuff on stream that can directly affect the stream itself. He's pretty wild. Clonk is his name. C. No wait, what is it? No, it's not Clonk. It's Let me just quickly check because I don't want to. It's why don't you have your name on Twitch or on Discord? L colon Q. That's it. I kind of I couldn't remember it fully there for a moment, but L colon Q. Like I wasn't bad at maths, but I cannot imagine enjoying it. Well, I imagine that if you really understand maths and you really understand it as a language and as an aim at some sort of truth, rather than just like, oh yeah, this, yeah, it's like something you just do for homework or something. If you really understand it, I imagine that it is amazing to get deep into it. I'm damn awful at art and exchange. I am also awful at art. I don't know where my skills have gone to, but hopefully I can figure it out soon. But thank you guys so much for joining. I'm just going to I think, yeah, I'll just continue with the reading. I mean, presumably they've gone into history. I hope so, but sometimes I have trouble remembering things. All I can do is dumb memes, if that's even art. Well, memes are like, if you get like a popular meme, think about how many people see that. Like, there's a lot of artists who pour a lot of time and effort into things, and no one ever sees them, which is kind of sad in of itself. But at the same time, art is a creative process for oneself too. But like a meme can be seen by so many people, especially a good one, and it can change. Like, it can directly influence internet culture. And just guessing from the context, yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so. To carry out their plan, the Greeks had to infiltrate a small group of soldiers into the city, but they did not need the Trojan horse to do so. Odysseus had already sneaked in and out of the city on 2 separate occasions shortly before, per the Iliad. People came and went through the gates of Troy throughout the period of the war, making it all the easier now to trick the gatekeepers into letting in a handful of disguised Greek warriors. And that was because, if for those of you who weren't here, essentially the Greeks did not have the manpower to fully siege Troy. They couldn't encircle them. So instead they hit them with caravans, with people who were outside of the city. They hit their allies to directly hurt their reputation and well, outside help. Once inside the city, all the Greeks needed was arms, which a determined man could not have found difficult to get. Hardened commandos could easily have overpowered a few Trojan soldiers and taken their shields and spears. Ancient cities under attack were often betrayed from within. Not even weapons could stand up to the dissatisfaction and treachery, says an Akkadian poem. Troy no doubt had its share of people who preferred dealing with the Greeks to prolonging the misery of war. But if the Trojan horse was not strictly necessary to the Greek plan, it might, well, nonetheless have been part of it. The Trojan horse would certainly inspire more confidence if ancient history recorded another occasion on which a similar ruse was employed. But how could it? The Trojan horse was such a famous trick that it could only be used once. According to Homer, it was Odysseus who conceived of the idea, and Epius, known otherwise as the champion boxer at the funeral game of Patroclus, who built the horse. Certainly, the Greeks had the technology to build it. Ancient fleets usually sailed with shipwrights because wooden fleet ships constantly need repairs, and linear B texts refer both to shipwrights and carpenters as professions. There would have been no shortage of men in the Greek camp to do the job. By the way, I just learned that the Trojan War wasn't a coalition against a single city, but a coalition against coalition. So it wasn't Troy against the world. Yes, actually, there was, so essentially it would have been the Mycenaeans, which would have been the brothers, well, if we assume the Iliad is somewhat reliable, which this book does argue that it is, at the very least, you know, the men probably weren't called Menelaus or Agamemnon or Achilles or Hector or what have you, but it was a coalition of warlords attempting to take this large and wealthy city that dominated trade as middlemen between the various kingdoms of the Anatolian area, such as the Hittites. There could have been some, and then with the Trojans, of course, being a wealthy city and being quite influential trade-wise, they would have had alliances all over the Anatolian plain. Homer himself relates how how I believe one of the sons, or what was it? Troy most likely had some monopoly on tin, which was needed for making bronze. I didn't know that. That might have been mentioned in the book, but I didn't know that they had a monopoly on it. But I could see that if they were kind of one of the main trading ports, that they would have had significant influence. So there could be a reason there for why the Greeks would have wanted to take it. Significant war booty. But yeah, and then even the later non-Iliad sources mention the Ethiopians and the Thracians and the King Eetion of Plakos under Thebes and various other cities in which around the Troad at the very least that Troy would have been in alliance with. And I believe the author mentions that Hittite texts refer to Willian, which is where Ilion and then Troy eventually came about. The name Troy mentions Willian by name as a place that is at times attacked, and in various other references to it. If you'll excuse me a moment. Sorry, I forgot my water bottle. I couldn't find it. I needed a drink of water. Anyway, back to the book. Where were we? And there would have been no question about whether a statue of an animal would catch the Trojan king's fancy. Bronze Age monarchs liked animal imagery. A Babylonian king of the 1300s BC, for example, had specifically asked the pharaoh for a gift of realistic figures of wild animals, with lifelike hides made by Egyptian carpenters. But which animal should the Greeks build at Troy? At Troy, a Trojan dog would have been insulting, a Trojan lion frightening, a Trojan bull or cow would have thrown Greek cattle raids in the enemy's teeth. But a horse symbolized war, privilege, piety, popularity, and Troy itself. Which we found from the book. We learned that horses were, that there was a significant, supposedly anyway, horse breeding going on at Troy. It was a major area for that area. Which is why the chariots are so emphasized in the Iliad as well. Horses are expensive, and in the Bronze Age they were usually used in military context, rarely as farm animals. Rulers of the era often sent horses as gifts between kings, while ordinary Trojans might cherish a figure of a horse. In late Bronze Age, horse figurines, made of baked clay, were collected throughout the Near East. Excavators recently found a clay model of a horse in Troy of the 1200s BC. Finally, there was a religious connotation. Hello, Clonk. How are you? Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're having a good start to the week. This was the very cool guy I mentioned earlier who does wacky coding and programming stuff on his streams. It's very cool. Finally, there was a religious connotation. As a votive offering, the horse was all but an admission of Greek war guilt. A symbolic submission to the gods of the horse-taming Trojans. The horse would have been used to smuggle a small number of soldiers, Greek soldiers, into the city, but the chances of detection was very high. Although the traditional story of the Trojan horse cannot be ruled out, it seems more probable that, if the horse did exist, it was empty. There were simpler and less dangerous ways of smuggling soldiers into the city. The horse's main value to the Greeks was not as transport, but as a decoy, a low-tech ancestor of the Phantom Army under General Patton that the Allies used in 1944 to trick the Germans into expecting the D-Day invasion in the area of Pas-de-Calais instead of Normandy. Epic tradition has some Trojans accepting the horse as a genuine sign that the Greeks had given up, while others remained skeptical. The debate lasted all day, according to Virgil, or 3 days, according to Homer. The sack of Ilium identifies 3 camps: those who wanted to burn the horse, those who wanted to throw it down from the walls, and those who wanted to consecrate it to Athena. The length of the debate was in direct proportion to the stakes. The safety of the city as well as individual careers were hanging on the decision. Virgil makes much of Priam's daughter Cassandra, an opponent of the horse who enjoyed the gift of prophecy, but suffered the curse of being ignored. That sounds like such a petty curse. Imagine, like, I'm sure he's probably just making a joke here, but unless there is actually, I don't know if there is a reference to that. But imagine some god just being like Zeus, just being like, you know what? You've annoyed me today. You're going to be ignored for like the next year. And like no matter what you do, people just like, they kind of just brush you off, or they don't fully pay attention, or someone else says something very similar to what you said. And it just gets like overridden by someone else, or someone else comes up with the same idea, said differently, and everyone really likes that one. Or you tell a funny joke to your friend, and he says it out loud, and he gets all the laughs. The idea of oh, that's so funny. And it actually sounds like something that the Greek gods would do, like just really petty and really like annoyed and just trying to like make someone's day just slightly worse. This story does not appear in Homer or what we have of the epic cycle. One person who does feature in the tradition in the Trojan priest Laocoon is the Trojan priest Laocoon, a staunch opponent of the Greeks who wanted to destroy the horse. In Virgil, the debate over the horse comes to an end when Laocoon and his sons are strangled by 2 snakes from the sea. The sack of Ilium apparently places this event after the horse had already been brought into town. Surely the snakes are symbolic. Surely Lacoon and his boys were killed not by a sea snake, but a member of the pro-Greek faction, and so, therefore, by someone perceived as a tool of a signifier of evil, like a snake. That seems like a horrible curse for an average TikTok user. maybe all of us who are struggling to get high viewers on Twitch and on TikTok and followers on on Twitter. Maybe all we need to do is pour out some libations and sacrifice a few animals to the gods, and be like, look, we're sorry for whatever we did to annoy you. Can you lift this curse of irrelevance and ignoring from us? Maybe that's how you make it. Like, can't sacrifice my doggo. No, you don't have to sacrifice a doggo. Just go buy some ribeye steak and throw that into a fire or something. I'm sure they'd accept that. But maybe that's what Cover and Hololive do every time they release a new wave. They sacrifice a goat or something. You know the way how oftentimes I think for some of the major corpos, I think they're often kind of just the new debuts are given kind of here, just do whatever you want, and sometimes they have to pay for certain things if they want to go a bit extravagant. Imagine they have to do the sacrifice, but everyone has to do their own one. Yagu oversees it as the high priest of Hololive. I'm sorry, what? It's so dumb. Lacoon's snakes may well be rooted in Anatolian Bronze Age religion, local lore of the Troad, or boat. Hittite literature made the snake a symbol of chaos and the arch enemy of the storm god. It makes sense for a snake to foil the storm god's servant, and the Trojan priest who was trying to save his city. The Troad, meanwhile, is rich in fossil remains of Miocene animals such as mastodons and pygmy giraffes, and these objects might have made their way into myth. For example, an Iron Age Greek painter probably used a fossilized animal skull as a model for a monster whom Heracles is supposed to have defeated on the shore of Troy. So the story of Lacoon's murder by monsters from the sea may well have Trojan roots. Lacoon's fate convinced Aeneas and his followers to leave the town. They withdrew to Mount Ida in time to escape the Greek onslaught. Virgil famously tells a different story in which Aeneas stays in Troy, fights the Greeks, and then at last escapes the burning city while carrying his elderly father, Anchises, on his back. But the account in the Sack of Ilium, which records Aeneas' departure, strikes a more credible note. Aeneas would not have been eager to die for Priam, a king who had never given Aeneas the honour that his father felt was due. Or the honour that he felt he was due, my apologies. His homeland was south of the city, in the valley of Dardania, beside the northern slope of Mount Ida. What better place to regroup if Aeneas believed that Troy was doomed? Helen played a double game. She had helped Odysseus on his mission to Troy and learned of his plan of the horse. Now she tried to coax the Greeks out of the horse, but Odysseus kept them silent. Or perhaps the horse was empty. Helen is supposed to have gone back that night and prepared herself for the inevitable. She had her maids arrange her clothes and cosmetics for her reunion with Menelaus. Whether or not there was a Trojan horse, or whether or not the Trojans brought it into town and dedicated it to Athena, it is easy to imagine them celebrating the end of the war. They treated themselves to a night of partying, according to the Sack of Ilium. It was now, when the Trojans were occupied, that Sinon supposedly gave the prearranged torch signal. Once watchers at Tenedos saw it, the expedition to take Troy rowed rapidly back to the mainland. Surprise, night, and Trojan drunkenness would have given the Greeks substantial advantages, but taking Troy would require hard fighting nonetheless. Experienced warriors, the Trojans would have scrambled quickly after their initial shock. If the battle began in darkness, it no doubt would have continued well into the daylight hours. The epic tradition offers a few details of Trojan resistance. The Greek Meges, leader of the Epeans of Elis, was wounded in the arm by Admetus, son of Augeas. Another Greek, Lycomedes, took a wound in the wrist from the Trojan Agenor, son of Antenor. But what the tradition highlights, of course, is Greek victory. Admetus and Agenor, for instance, did not savour their successes, because the same night one was killed by Philoctetes, and the other by Neoptolemus. A Greek named Eurypylus, son of Euaemon, killed Priam's son Axion. Menelaus began his revenge by killing Helen's new husband, Deiphobus, brother of Paris and son of Priam. But the Greek known for scoring the most kills in the sack of Troy is Achilles' son, Neoptolemus. Among his victims, besides Agenor, were Astunus, Aetion, and Priam himself, who is the king of Troy. Either at the altar of Zeus, no doubt the storm god, where the Trojan king had sought shelter, or, as some say, at the doors of the palace, because, not wanting to violate a god's altar, Neoptolemus was careful to drag his victim away first. As for the Trojan women, tradition assigns Andromache to Neoptolemus and Cassandra to Agamemnon. Locrian Ajax had attempted to seize Cassandra, but violated the altar of Athena, or a Trojan goddess, which made the Greeks loath to reward him and thereby earn divine enmity. Prudent Bronze Age warriors knew better than to insult an enemy's gods. For example, when Hittite king Shupalilumia I conquered the city of Carchemish among 1325 BC, he sacked the town, but kept all his troops away from the temples of Kubaba and Lama. He bowed to the goddesses instead. Thank you so much to Guapeton, for the follow. Very much appreciated. Welcome in. And hello Haru as well. Niello. I hope you're doing well. I hope your Monday I hope your first day went well. Your first day of the week. Drown check. Yeah, I'll do a quick one. But we're almost at the end of this chapter, so I will very quickly continue reading and then chat for a little bit. Salsa dance. Priam's daughter Polyxena was, according to the Sacervilium, slaughtered at the tomb of Achilles as an offering to the hero's ghost. Little Astyanax, Hector's son, was murdered by Odysseus, thrown from the walls, in one version, lest he grow up and seek vengeance. And then there was Helen. The little Iliad states that Menelaus found her at home, in the house of Deiphobus. Menelaus's sword was drawn to seek vengeance on the agent of his humiliation and suffering, but Helen had merely to undrape her breasts to change his mind. It is a sort of story that we can only wish to be true. That sounds, you know what, I get it, Menelaus. That makes complete sense. I completely understand. I did have an idea, actually, because the author postulated the possibility of the horse being real, but not having the soldiers inside of it, simply being a sort of diversion or red herring to allow Greek soldiers to sneak in another way and be among the Trojans for the night of reckoning against them. It could be that perhaps the debate over the horse, and maybe they even checked inside of it and discussed it. All of this just upon seeing that the horse is empty, or that there are no tricks, the assumption is then, well, the Greeks did leave, and they did leave us this gift of a horse. And so they would party and celebrate on the assumption that, look, it's over. They left us this genuine gift that has nothing wrong with it. So just something I thought of as I was reading a little. So much for the epic tradition. What do Bronze Age texts and archaeological excavations tell us about the sack of Troy? Bronze Age documents show that however brutal the sack of Troy may have been, it would have conformed to the law of war. Cities that did surrender would, if they were captured, be destroyed. This rule goes as far back as the first well-documented interstate conflict, the border wars between the two Sumerian cities of Lagash and Umma between 2500 and 2350 BC. When the Greeks sacked the city, they put Troy to the torch. Archaeology discloses that a savage fire destroyed the settlement level known as Troy 6I. Blackened wood, white calcined stone, and heaps of fallen building material were found in a thick destruction layer of ash and dirt, about 20 inches to 6 feet deep. The inferno can be dated, according to the best estimate, sometime between 1230 and 1180 BC, more likely between 1210 and 1180. The flames must have spread fast. One house in the lower city tells the story. A Bronze Age figurine, as well as some gold and silver jewels, was left behind on the floor of a room. The inhabitants had fled in a panic. Imagine Troy's narrow streets, clogged, and imagine the rolling cries of disoriented refugees, the wailing of children, the growls, snorts, bleating, high-pitched squeals, and relentless howls and barks of terrified barnyard animals. In the Bronze Age, typically kept within the town walls at night. Imagine too the clatter of arms, the clang and whistle of cold bronze, the soft sound of blood onto paving stones, the cheers of the avengers, the whiz of javelins in flight, the reverberation of a spear that had found its mark, the holler and thud of street fighting, the surge of wails and curses, the gush and choking of pain, and much of it muffled by a fire burning fast enough to sound like a downpour. Archaeology draws a picture that is consistent with a sack of Troy. A sack of Troy. Outside the doorhouse of a house on the citadel, for example, a partial human male skeleton was discovered. Was he a householder, killed defending his property? There is also a 15-year-old girl buried in the lower town. The ancients rarely buried people within the city limits unless an attack was preventing them from going to a cemetery outside town. It was even rarer to leave human skeletons unburied, another sign of the disaster that had struck Troy. 2 bronze spear points, 3 bronze arrowheads, and 2 partially preserved bronze knives have been found in the citadel and lower town. One of the arrowheads is a type known only in the Greek mainland in the late Bronze Age. The lower town has also yielded a cache of 157 sling stones in 3 piles. Another supply of 12 smooth stones, probably sling stones, was found on the citadel, in a building beside the south gate that looked to the excavators like a possible arsenal or guardhouse. None of this evidence proves beyond a doubt that Troy was destroyed in a sack. The fire that ravaged the city could have been caused by accident, and then been stoked by high winds. If Troy was destroyed by armed violence, were the Greeks responsible? The archaeological evidence is consistent with the explanation, but does not prove it. And that brings us to the end of that chapter, and on to what then is kind of the conclusion of the book. It's only a couple of pages long, not even 10 pages, but we'll take a short break here just to chat for a little bit. No Geneva Convention to save Troy. I know it was a little bit too late. If they survived just a little longer, they maybe would have been able to have one. But I'm going to do another drown check for you, Haru. You don't even have to ask. Stretch you back. You still got me with something that I needed to do. Good point. Oh, I can feel it as well because I was working up my back today. I was doing pull-ups and bent over rows and single arm rowing. No, that's probably what Odysseus said to Anaxatanix, Hector's son, right before he threw him off the walls. No convened Geneva Convention, and flings the child off the walls of Troy. That's what I say when I play CK3. Ah, nice one. I haven't gotten CK3 yet, although it looks very fun. It looks like it's much more geared towards like RPing, roleplay, and really getting into your character. At least from like what I've seen. I played a lot of CK2. It's probably my most played or my second most played game, and that alongside Mountain Blade Warband. But I love both of those games. They're so much fun. But good to have another CK2 enjoyer. Game just basically tells you to do war crimes and incest. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like when you're the Vikings, God, I loved Mountain Blade Warband. It is it. I think it's my favorite game of all time. I think it is my favorite game. Haru, listen. Okay, CK3, it's or CK2. If you played it, you'd understand that sometimes it's a good thing to like marry your sister. Sometimes. Now, I'm not saying you should do it in real life. I'm just saying, sometimes the ge- stop eating popcorn. Look, if she's genius and attractive and strong, you want your own. I'm gonna stop. Haven't played that in ages. Need to go back to that. For me, the quintessential Mountain Blade experience is Viking Conquest with the modded correction. What would you call it? The fan made mod update, which adds so much and fixes so many things and just makes the game look so nice. Although I did have some trouble with it when I first did it, but it's so good. My character just did something extremely brutal before I saved. I was even impressed. Wow, that must be pretty bad. Like, I mean, I remember, as a Viking, because you'd get so many upgrades for being a Viking and like sacrificing people. Like, you would have just like 100 people in your execution, and you'd like try and execute them all at the same time, and you just hear like, and it would play all the sounds at the same time as well. So it's just like, it's genuinely horrifying, the noises. But God, I'm gonna have to continue playing that game. It's so much fun. I think I have a current. I was doing some achievement hunting in it, and I was doing the be a Lombard king, or descendant of the Lombards, still holding a crown by 1300. But like, it takes so long to skip over. I pretty much control all of Europe at this point, so like I could probably just put the game into max overdrive and be fine. Haru, though, how are you? And welcome in as well, Lancelot. I can't remember if I said that or not. But welcome all. Um, Actually, let me quickly check something. Very quickly. Okay. I am two I think 2 followers away from 50. And I think if this stream goes well, I might be above. Well, I technically am right now above the 3 viewer requirement, average viewers. So I could possibly get I don't know how long it takes, but I could apply for affiliate if I get it. Be no, I want it to be for one extra viewer. I'm gonna make my like two accounts myself. Um, but yeah, it would be really cool to reach it. But of course that'll just depend on some other people coming along. But like being so close, it's very nice. I think that raid by Mana Song writing really helped, because a lot of people stuck around, and it helped kind of push it up. So I was very happy. And it was really nice getting rated for the first time as well. It was a brand new experience, and I actually really enjoyed the sound alert that I have. That the horn blaring really caught my attention. I love some of the creativity that certain streamers have, though. Like, some of them will have, if you raid, some video might play, or I might play a clip of them. Others will have their model just like start dancing around the screen. I think I saw that with who was it? Ogla Kami, I think it was. Um, I saw her raid and I just saw her dancing around and it was really really funny. Um, but yeah, yeah. So things could possibly be really cool. Um, I don't know. I'm just excited about that. I guess. Which one of you created a new account? Which one of you created a new account? But welcome in Rocka Fanboy 28. Very much welcome. Uh, clever. Why are you sad, clever? Did you get back exam results? Real time chat. This guy is a fraud. Don't trust him. Well, you spelled it Freud. That guy is Freud. He's Sigmund Freud. Oh my god. Well, actually, no, that makes sense. We were just talking about incest in CK2. No, I just met. Oh, I hope you feel better, clever. I hope I can at least be time for you to kind of just relax. Um, hopefully your day goes well and things improve for you. I will play the game on stream, Haru, and I will make a family circle. Okay, my family tree will turn into a circle, and I'll do it. And I'll enjoy doing it. It'll be very fun. The only thing I can respond to those Sasa emotes is with smug Sasa dancing. But thank you so much, Rocka fanboy. And clever, I do hope you feel a little better soon. Whatever it is that is that's troubling you. I hope your exam goes well, and I hope I imagine that the exam has kind of thrown you for a bit of a loop. Because I know myself that sometimes when you come out of something like that, or any event that you felt like you could have done better, or something just went wrong, and it can ruin your day. It can be like the slightest thing. You were in class and your professor asked you a question, and it get some rest, clever. Uh, that seems yeah. Head pat, clever. Give if I could move my arms, because I totally can, because I'm a real person. I'm not just you guys just see me as a 2D image, but I swear I'm really a Fianna warrior. But I would like give you a couple of head pats. um, but when like your lecturer asks a question, this happened to me before, and I try and answer it, and I get it wrong, but it was like a really obvious one. Are you sure you're a real person? Well, to quote Descartes, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. I'm just thinking of my love right now, trying to feel better with that. I don't know what your love is, if that's your love for your pupper, for your dog, for your significant other, for a family member, whatever it is, but that's a good way to think about it. Um, to often doing something or thinking of something that brings you a lot of joy is a good way to feel better. Even actually physiologically, or changing your physiology, like how you hold yourself, can actually sometimes help. Um, I remember before I felt down. I heard this idea, so I tried it. I don't know. I can't remember why I was feeling down, but basically you just stand up, you stretch as high as you can, and you kind of throw your head back, and you put on the biggest, dumbest smile. And it doesn't solve your issues, of course, but it does kind of like, it's this weird sort of release of tension. And you almost, in smiling so stupidly, it can kind of, I found anyway, it makes almost you laugh at yourself, like you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But it's just something that can take your mind off it for a moment. Uh, it is starting to get a little bit darker, so I think, oh god. There we go. Nice and cozy. Nice and cozy, I think. What's that emote? Oh god, disappears in total darkness. Yeah, it got way too dark. It's like someone turned off the light. Good thing I know my way around this area so well that I can gather firewood. I really hope I get my degree so I get a private sector job that isn't physical strength based. That way I'll always be dependable. Ah, I get you. I've seen it happen before. Family members being in quite physical jobs, and you know, the toll that takes. It sounds like I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will get your degree. I'm uh, I'm like I'm gonna say pray for you. I'll pray for you. You can do it. I believe. I believe too. You will do well. And if you don't, you can try again. I mean, I met people in college who had been there for a year or two, and yeah, it sucks and it's a struggle, and oftentimes some people had to go in different directions, but you can always get to somewhere. You can. Let me just take a small drink of water. I don't want to just be good at lifting stuff, even if I'm also good at fighting. I just don't think of myself as a pro, like a pro boxer. Ah, I did boxing myself for a while, a few years, but I never got big into it. It was when I was younger, and then I got into it again. But I'm sure you will find something. Drown more, Haru. You just want me to like choke on stream? Just hear me like dying, like literally drowning. I should have a redeem that like just causes a bunch of water to fall on me. Were you watching Clever? Were you watching the boxing this weekend between Joe Joyce and Gilles Zhang? My man, Big Bang Zhang. What a punch! What a punch! I know I talked about this earlier. That would be fun to spam. Yeah. It definitely would. Oh my god, watching Sasa get so like I felt like he was actually getting annoyed, and then he kind of just got mind broken by being turned into the angel. No, I just want to try out stuff that I see. Ah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. But if you have time, I would definitely go check out the Joyce versus Zhang match. It was, I mean, it was. It's not like a super exciting fight, but just watching Zhang break down Joyce was quite the shock. Poor Sleepy Joe, he fell asleep in the middle of the ring. I love the angel. It's a very, very cute model. I always just want to head pat it. And it's so funny hearing his Sasa's deep voice coming out of it. My voice broke there. I couldn't get the sound to come out of it. Oh, yeah, he kind of talks a little like this, but my throat's a little sore, so I can't do it. Lose all the points for Angel. It's worth it. It's worth it. I think I will. I apologize to anyone listening that just heard me like growl in your ear. It's more. I think it's just a little irritated Haru because I was doing a little bit of singing practice today, and I kind of pushed it a little bit. But I do apologize to those of you who are enjoying the reading or just kind of listening to me chat that I just kind of like growled in your ear. I think I might have some honey downstairs. I might go have a little bit of it later. I know some people like that, but I'm not technically doing ASMR right now. Well, I guess I am. I guess reading is ASMR, but I'm not doing like close ASMR. You're gonna wake someone up again. I know. I know. But I think I will continue with the conclusion of the book. Again, it's quite short. It's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. So we'll get through it quite quickly. On the mountain top, where the goats forage in the crevices between the rocks, and the only sound beside their bleating is a sudden burst of wind in the wildflowers, the sky is the same shade as pale blue and grey as the eyes of the goddess of Athena. That's when it happens, not during an afternoon plunge into one of the chilly pools of Ida, the mountain rich in springs, nor in the thickening darkness when the owls appear and the night's first bats take wing. Only here, on the heights, where the light rakes the treeless ridge, does he let the truth come out. And the truth is that he is no herdsman. Only then, when he relaxes his guard, does he remember that he is a soldier who knows the sound of javelins whirring through the air, and the sight of the wounded men crawling on the plain. Aeneas, son of Anchises, would surely like to stay on the mountain. The mountain is his mother. It was here long ago that Anchises slept with the luminous god of love. Aeneas grew up on Ida's slopes, hunting deer in the woods, and careening down its trails on wild horses. He takes his bearings by the bees that pollinate its flowers, and by the star that rises above it, by the evening star, Aphrodite herself, or Ishtar, as she was likely known in the Troad. If anyone can lead him back, the goddess can, since she was a deity not only of love, but of war. Hello, Simi. Hello, hi, Ruadh and chat. Lurking while at work. Wishing you a wonderful stream tonight. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for the lurk. I hope work goes quickly, and I hope it's not too busy. You know, a Monday or maybe Tuesday for you by now. I hope it goes well. Thank you so much for allowing me to raid into you and welcoming us so nicely. I hope to catch one of your ASMR streams soon. If he must come down from Ida, Aeneas would choose to live in the Dardanian valley that lies in its lap below. The mountain-sheltered valley is as rich as it is wide and well-watered, kingdom enough for any man. A river runs through the middle of its grain fields, seemingly as far from the sea as sinners' hearts is far from the gods. But this is the Scamander River, and 20 miles downstream it once ran red with the blood of Achilles' victims. Ida's native son cannot stay in Dardania. Aeneas has to leave the survivors back home. All his life he has complained about the treatment by Priam and his sons, and now they are gone. Aeneas is heir to the throne. On his broad shoulders lies the fate of Troy, or so we may imagine him thinking one day, not long after the Greeks had left and the fires had died down in the ruins of the city. Legend has it that Troy was completely destroyed, but in fact the city was soon rebuilt. The new Troy was once again a great centre. It was not as rich or as grand as Priam's city, and it was not inhabited by the same people, but there were sources of continuity, and none greater than Aeneas himself. Epic tradition offers several versions of Aeneas's fate, from captivity under Neoptolemus in Greece to triumph in Italy near the future site of Rome, after an amorous detour in Carthage. But the Iliad is clear. Achilles scoffs at Aeneas for wanting to replace Priam as king, when everyone knows that one of Priam's many sons will inherit the throne. But Poseidon knows better, as the god predicts of Troy after the war. From Priam now and Priam's faithless kind, at length are odious to all seeing mind. O great Aeneas shall devolve the reign, and sons succeeding sons the everlasting line sustain. The way to the throne of Troy began on Mount Ida, where tradition says that Aeneas gathered together the refugees from the defeated city. The refugees might have meditated on the irony of Troy's fate. For all their fury, the Greeks never surrounded the city or sealed it off from the outside world. They tried to storm Troy's walls but failed, nor did a pitched battle between the armies led by heroes succeed in the conquest of Troy. Only the steady pressure of Greek raids on Troy's hinterland, which lay open to Greek sea power, bled the city white, and in its vulnerable state, Troy fell prey to a fatal act of espionage. It was cunning and not courage that killed Troy. We in turn may reflect on the ironies of epic. Like a chronicler of the pharaohs or the annals of a Hittite king, the Iliad idealizes war. The focus is on divinely inspired heroes who carry out superhuman deeds and suffer only clean wounds. The Greeks crowd the stage and Troy is doomed, although the struggle is so grand that it takes 10 years. Yet Homer is honest enough to hint at the real war of a far shorter duration, a war of filth and disease, of attacks on civilians and of ordinary men who died lonely deaths. Helen is not only a beautiful but also a light-fingered cause of war, since she made off with her husband's treasure as well as his honour, and the Greeks wanted the gold back. Besides, they were far more interested in capturing enemy women than in regaining Menelaus's runaway bride, although of course Menelaus derived his claim over the kingdom of Lacedaemon, or the area of Lacedaemon anyway, through marriage into the royal family. True Helen. Both in his exaggerations and his honesty, Homer is truer to the Bronze Age than is usually recognized. Bronze Age poets regularly inflate battlefield deeds, but other Bronze Age texts preserve the truth. A way of war that was sometimes low intensity, often devious, and always squalid. Thanks to both the oral tradition and also perhaps to non-Greek written sources, Homer preserves these truths even though Troy fell centuries after his lifetime. As they returned to their ships from the ruins of Troy, the Greeks would have carried their wounded and the bodies of their dead, and driven a crowd of captive Trojans forward, with cartloads of booty following. The art of the Bronze Age shows many such lines of prisoners, naked as often as not, hands tied behind their backs or locked in wooden beams. Then the plunder and women had to be divided among the army. The chiefs, naturally, got first pick. Neoptolemus, for example, is said to have chosen Andromache, Hector's widow. The other heroes accepted his choice, no doubt glad to have satisfied his considerable ego. The sons of the late great Athenian hero Theseus, Acamas, and Demophon were content to rescue their mother, Aethra. According to Athenian tradition, she had gone to Troy as Helen's lady-in-waiting. At least, they were content according to one story. Another version says that Agamemnon gave them, quote, many gifts as well. Like many a conquering army, the Greeks fell out with each other as soon as the war was over. The immediate cause of the quarrel was the question of Locrian Ajax and his sacrilege against Athena, or her Trojan equivalent, by having inadvertently taken a statue when he had grabbed Cassandra from the goddess's temple. By violating the goddess's image, Locrian Ajax subjected the whole army to her vengeance. Agamemnon and Menelaus, brothers and now rivals, argued in front of the troops. Agamemnon wanted to put off their departure until he could make amends by carrying out a big sacrifice to Athena. Menelaus wanted to go home. The Greeks had already stoned Ajax, and Menelaus no doubt reminded the men of this punishment. Agamemnon said that wasn't enough. And I believe by stoned here they don't mean that they killed him, because the story of Ajax goes on further, so I'm guessing it was probably some kind of punishment beyond other than that. No ancient army in any period would think of making a long journey having incurred the wrath of a god, but Menelaus, Diomedes, and Nestor sailed away with their men the next day anyhow. As Nestor later explained it, Athena's punishment had already started with the royal quarrel. The safest course seemed to be to get far away from Troy. Nestor reached Pylos without incident. Likewise, Diomedes made it home safely to Argos, and Neoptolemus went to his father's ancestral land, Phthia, which he had never seen before, having grown up on the island of Skyros. But he played it safe by avoiding the treacherous sea and travelling overland. Locrian Ajax escaped Athena only to run afoul of Poseidon, who let him survive a shipwreck only to drown the man for his blasphemy. The story essentially goes is Athena casted a thunderbolt onto Ajax's ship, and him and a couple of his men were able to make it to some rocks that were jutting out of the sea. But Ajax, in his arrogance, said that he would best the sea itself and continue to survive. At which point, Poseidon, threw his trident and broke the rock, split it in two, the rock that Ajax was clinging to, and pulled him under the sea. See how petty they are? See what I mean? I'm just gonna say right now to if any of the Greek gods are listening, you guys aren't petty at all. Please don't strike me down. Menelaus lost most of his ships in a storm and was blown off course, to Egypt with the rest. By the time he finally reached Sparta, the news was waiting of his brother's fatal homecoming. When Agamemnon returned to Mycenae, he was murdered by his wife, Clytemnestra, and the lover whom she had taken in his absence, Aegisthus, who was engaged in a blood feud with Agamemnon. The sons of Atreus were never lucky in love. Menelaus brought back his prize, Helen. The Odyssey depicts the couple united and ruling in Lacedaemon, surrounded by war-won trophies in the royal palace. They lived to celebrate the marriage of their daughter to Neoptolemus, so the king was certainly better off than his butchered brother. Yet Helen's practice of slipping drugs into Menelaus's wine suggests that not all was happy in the royal halls. Odysseus took 10 years before reaching home. No doubt another case of Bronze Age expression for a long time until finally. In the Bronze Age, being blown off course, being shipwrecked or marooned were not uncommon occurrences, so there is some plausibility in the outline of the Odyssey. When Odysseus at last reached Ithaca, he found his enemies in charge of his household and battled them to restore his authority. The tales of trouble in Mycenae and Ithaca perhaps offer a hint of the violence that in fact struck the Mycenaean palaces. Sometime around 1190 to 1180 BC, a wave of destruction hit the major centres of the Greek mainland, including Pylos, Tiryns, Athens, and Mycenae itself. Archaeology showed that life continued in the lower towns, but the palaces of the citadels were destroyed, and with them went a way of life that included luxury goods, manorial estates, and scribes keeping written records. Greek civilization continued, but at a lower level of complexity and wealth. The Bronze Age collapse, essentially. A similar fate was in store for many of the citadels of Anatolia, Cyprus, Canaan, and Mesopotamia. Egypt weathered the storm, but it felt its force nonetheless. Clearly, it was a disastrous time throughout the Bronze Age world of the Eastern Mediterranean and Near East. The cause of this decline are unclear. Earthquakes appear to have played a role, but they were probably not the only source of trouble. Dynastic disputes, imperial overstretch and adventures like the Trojan War, bad harvests, peasant unrest, may all have contributed in Anatolia. In Anatolia, grain was scarce shortly before 1200 BC, perhaps suggesting that climate change had affected Greece as well. There is only weak evidence for foreign invasion, whether by the Sea Peoples or the Dorians. The Dorians were Greek speakers from northwestern Greece. Contrary to popular misconception, they did not come south until much later, so they could not have destroyed the Mycenaean palaces. But the Sea Peoples do fit oh no, I've hit a word that I know how to pronounce, but I can't say it. But the sea people do fit chronol... I know how to say this word. Hang on, excuse me a moment. But the sea people do fit chronologically. Good enough. They attacked and destroyed the city of Ugarit around 1190 BC. They seemed to have played a role in the fall of the city of Hattusha around the same time, and they attacked Egypt, but were driven back. They were more successful in Canaan, where they hunted down the people later known, where they settled down as the people later known as the Philistines. Who were the Sea Peoples? The answer is not yet clear, but we do know that they were a coalition, and there is good reason to think that some of them were Greeks. So if the Sea Peoples had sacked the Mycenaean palaces, they might better be thought of as a faction in a Greek civil war, rather than as foreign invaders. The Hittites, at any rate, had other problems besides the Sea Peoples. Well before the city of Hattusha was sacked, it suffered decline in population and depopulation. Parts of the Hittite Empire in southern and southeastern Anatolia had become separate kingdoms. Various branches of the Hittite ruling dynasties were enmeshed in intermittent feuds that sometimes turned very nasty. Although Hattusha fell, marking the end of Hittites' great central Anatolian empire, the Hittite kingdoms in the south managed to survive for centuries more. We are only beginning to understand why most of the palaces of the eastern Mediterranean were in ruins by not long after 1200 BC. Further research should shed much new light on the matter, but whatever the truth was, it was probably as complex as the process that left most of the cities of Europe and Japan in ruins by 1945. Just as there was no single cause to explain World War II, so the Sea Peoples alone cannot explain the end of palace civilization of the Bronze Age. Archaeology shows that after the burning and probable sacking of Troy 6I, the city was reconstructed, and in no mean way. Whenever possible, old buildings were repaired, and streets were repaved, but new structures went up as well. Troy 6J, to use the archaeologist's ungainly name for this new Troy, was not poor. Gold and bronze jewels, an iron axe, and a carnelian seal have all been found there, and it is to this city, several generations later, 1130 BC, that prehistoric Troy's only inscription may be dated, the married couple seal mentioned earlier. Of course, the new Troy was not as rich as the old one. Agriculture provides a clue here. While Priam's Troy produced wheat, later Troy subsisted on barley, a poorer grain, which ancient peoples usually fed to animals, and the new Troy was not inhabited by the same people, not after the deaths and deportations. So a new population emerged in Troy 6J, a mixture of old Trojans and newcomers from the Balkans. Imagine Aeneas back again in Troy. He lives with a din of carpenters, stonemasons, and brickbakers. The dead have been buried, the rubble cleared, the stones replaced. Sheep and cattle have been herded to their pens within the walls. Libations have been poured to the gods. From his half-built home on the citadel, one evening Aeneas might have looked out on the plain, a tawny sea of grain lying still in the pale blue light. Turning, he would see Poseidon's realm, a silvery ribbon stretching as far as the island's walls. And as a brisk breeze of Boreas ruffled his hair, he might have looked down on the new town rising. With all the inevitable problems, Aeneas might have been proud of his role in lifting up Troy like a stone out of deep water, to use a Hittite expression. The lofty works of the gods, the peaks of Mount Ida and of Samothrace, would soon be replicated once again by the proud man-made towers of Troy. And thus comes to the end Barry Strauss's The Trojan War, A New History. Thank you all for indulging me and listening as I read. I hope whether you enjoyed the topic itself in learning about it, or if you simply used me as some kind of ASMR or sleep aid, I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. Thank you, Harry. Clap. Very nicely written, I must say. And I drown check. No, wait, you put spaces. So it's like drown check. It's emphasized. But yeah, I do quite like the way I mentioned it before. Oh, hello, Cry. I've been lurking. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. We just finished up. I hope you managed to catch at least some of it. We just finished up the book, that is. Oni-san, Oni-san. But I did quite like the way he weaves in both the narrative and the archaeology, and a little bit of conjecture at times, kind of his own thoughts. Although again, at some points it can be difficult to work out. Is he talking from what he views might be the historical perspective, or is he still following the Iliad? But still, nonetheless, I think it's a very good book, and it definitely is quite amazing how it seems, even though it's so far in the future. What is it? I believe Homer is 700s, so almost 500 years afterwards. There's still aspects of both late Bronze Age that he supposedly knows, as well as gets right about the possible surrounding history of it, at least from a broad stroke perspective. And one can only assume that perhaps there were many more sources of writing and of history available to Homer at the time, that he was able to get such things. Perhaps the Greeks, or not the Greeks, the Egyptians had more detailed writing. I'm prepping for work. Oh, I hope it goes quick for you. But you're like a day in front of us, aren't you? In front of me, anyway. So like you get your weekend quicker than me, technically. But no, I hope work isn't too busy. I hope you're doing well. But I get my Monday quicker too. True. That is very true. I was only saying earlier how it Saturday is really the only day you get truly off. Especially if you're like me, who likes to sleep in and then stay up very late, probably too late. That is healthy. It probably makes a lot more sense to get up really early and work through things. But with Friday, you still work, but then you get to stay up late. I would anyway. With Sunday, you get the whole day off, but you have to go to bed early to prepare. Now, my early on a Sunday typically is very very late. I find Saturday to be the best day because it's no work and I get to stay up really late. Assuming I don't have anything like overtime or anything to do, because that might throw a spanner in the works. How long have we been streaming for, actually? Oh, just under an hour and 3/4, so not bad. I will look through my library to try and find another book that I think would be quite good to read. I might look for one that's maybe a storybook or something, or perhaps another history book or something of that kind. I almost, in some way, want to go into a philosophy book, but I feel like that might be a little tough going. I mean, it's already tough going for me to read those things and try and follow some of the aspects of it. So I feel like reading it and not being able to reread things would be very difficult. I was considering trying to do some sort of like not presentation, but like little strings where I might explain certain concepts. So I might go over like the ideas behind Plato's cave analogy, his analogy of the cave, I should say, sorry, or maybe his divided line, or Aristotle's hylomorphism and how that differs from Plato's world of forms, or any variation of things. But I feel like it would be quite difficult because I'm not a student in philosophy at all. I just read my own, read random things and just trust. Although most of the time that I do find authors who are very well respected and seen as like offering very very deep insights into things, even if I don't understand a lot of what is written. But I will find something else. In the meantime, what I might try and do is I might try and do some ASMR proper. I may head into town sometime soon and try and see if I can pick up, or I might order from Amazon some kind of what's it called again? Not binaural mic. Well, that would be very cool, but they're quite expensive. Condenser mic, one that's good for broader ASMR, because I think that could be definitely something fun to try. Tapping on various objects, and since I've stopped biting my nails, I want to say about 6 months now, maybe a little bit less, maybe about 5 months. My nails have gotten like long, and I've had to start filing them and cutting them, mainly filing them and keeping them with a nice kind of rounded shape for the most part. What I find actually is that like if they have like a very rounded shape, like a curve, it makes your fingers look so much longer. And like I find that's kind of like a thing with like kind of models' hands. They tend to have very long and very nice. I can only describe them as nice hands. One of the people that I can only describe as having gorgeous hands, and I don't pay attention to hands much, I'll be honest. I have paid a little bit more attention since I have been paying attention to my own. Like I've started using a hand cream and stuff, and just keeping them situated. Longer nails make my fingies longer. Yeah, no, but like what I mean is that like mine aren't even. Actually, wait. I think one of them might be past my fingertips. Although I have had them since past my fingertips. I love hands. I have heard that the thing with that women can often very much like them. I mean, yeah, I like hands as well. Like soft hands are very nice. But it was just something that I noticed because I always bit them, and I bit them a lot. But now they're like, I'm actually like, I don't want to say proud of them because they just look like they're well, like just generally maintained. But still, for someone who had such a habit of biting them for so long, it was really nice to kick it. And what I found actually, like I had tried things like I used to put what would you call it? What's it called again? Like aftershave on the tips of them, to try and stop me from biting, to make it a bad taste. But what I found, what it was in the end, was I could use clear polish to stop myself from biting them. I was looking at those myself actually. I still kind of tease at them. Like I'll notice sometimes that I'll just run my fingers like along them because I like the tactile sensation. But and actually that's a sound that's quite nice in ASMR. I find teeth tapping. Although I feel like you need like a pretty sensitive mic for that. It sounds loud in your head when you do it to yourself, obviously. But what was I saying? What I found it was I just realized how much my fingers were going to my mouth, and once I really started paying attention to it, and I realized how much I did it, I was able to just start catching myself stop. And I still it took about a month or two of me being aware, like really aware of it, before I started to just stop. And yeah, it's like I'm talking about an addiction. I haven't bit my nails. It's like I went to Nail Biters Anonymous. Um, I had a disease. I went through the whatever it is, like 20 steps to stop biting my nails. Alcoholism is a really serious thing, but no. But yeah, no, I was like, it's because it's something that you become very anxious about when you realize how bad they look. There's often been times that I was hanging out with friends or on dates and stuff that I'd be chatting away to someone. I'd have my hands on the table, and it would only be like when they're talking or something, or I have a moment to kind of look down at my hands, and I would see how they would look, and I quickly pull them in. While now I've actually had people complimenting my hands. Obviously, I had my family because I mentioned about not trying to bite my nails, and my mother, of course, is often at me about it whenever I visit her in the Sheed Mounds. Um, she mentions it, how I'm getting on with them, but I've even had just friends at times just mention it. So that's it's definitely something that I'm happy that I managed to kick. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna ask to anyone who isn't followed isn't following me yet, if you would like to continue seeing my stuff, it would be very much appreciated if you did follow. Um, I'm I'm kind of close to affiliate. Although I have like nothing prepared. I don't have any like emotes or anything, because I wasn't even thinking I was going to get close to that for ages. But being a part of various little communities that are very supportive, such as you, Haru, and other people, has definitely helped in uh, growing a little bit quickly. I will just say, for anyone who has been using me, and I apologize for waking you up if you're kind of still half conscious and listening to me. If your phone is on your bed, or like on anything soft or any kind of fabric, please move it to like something hard, like wood, your desk or something nearby. Because I've had before when I was using my phone, and I would be listening to ASMR, I would sometimes just fall asleep, and the phone would fall in between me and the bed, or it might get tangled up in the blankets, and it can get very hot. Now, I don't think it will get, if it's not charging, I think the chances of it getting so hot to be dangerous is unlikely. But I can say I know a lot of people have their phones under their blankets, or sorry, under their pillows, and they charge it away for the night to get ready and stuff. But that can be a little dangerous. So I just thought I'd mention it. My stream, I'm going to be ending streams soon enough anyway, but I do think it's something I think I should mention if you're like using me as a sleep aid. Oh. My phone is always hot. Blame Genshin. My phone is always hot because Android's updates fucking suck. I had my phone update, and it literally just like bricked my phone. And I had to completely factory reset it. Thankfully, I was able to transfer over and save like all my files on it, and all my Twitter saved images. That is it's probably about a couple of hundred saved images of various VTubers. I'm not going to lie. Actually, no, it definitely is. It definitely 100% is. I'm not even going to mention my 1,000+ screenshots I took of a concert on my PC. Wait, I just did. After the iPhone 15 got introduced, my phone got slower. iPhone 11. I think I wouldn't be surprised if oh, and I'll just finish in saying that my phone now, if it is under load, seems to get way hotter than it did before certain updates, and it's very annoying. It's very, very annoying. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of push things out like that as well, trying to get certain things. I was looking at the iPhone, at potentially getting one of the ones that are really good for face tracking. But I have a Nvidia which has its own, which in VTube Studio has like its own tracking stuff. Of course, that's not for another while until I get like a rigged model, um, whenever that may be. I wonder will I turn into one of those people who like likes and favorites and retweets, and follows like 100 rig giveaways, every day, just hoping they can be one of them. I imagine that there are some people who do that, just really don't want to pay for one or don't have the money to pay for one. Um, I'm sure I'm sure there are probably budget riggers around the place, but excited for VTuber Ruadh fan. Wait, no, that's gonna be a strange experience. Getting fan art. Um, I'm glad you want to draw me, Haru. Thank you. That's really nice. Um, ah, um, I haven't got any recent updates from my mama yet, but you'll still have the still image. I'll have to look for someone to do like what are they called again? The thing that shows from different sides and the different outfits and stuff. Your art panel or something, I guess you would call it. But um the thought of getting fan art seems really cool, but thank you so much, Haru, that you want to. Sorry, I'm kind of lost in that thought now. Um, I was considering looking for possible skebs and stuff. Looking around for that because I think picking up some simple images so that I can maybe do schedules or even just have some like cool art to have on my starting stream or ending stream would be a good one. I should actually make one of those. I should make a scene for an ending stream. I guess it could just be a little thank you for coming. Huey, 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 Huey. I love the different ways that different reference sheet. That's it. I couldn't think of the, which makes sense because it's the reference art. It's the reference for the fan art. But I love the different ways like different cultures do like laughing. So like with most English speaking countries it's ha 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 or lol lamao. While in for example in Japan, and I only know this because of VTubing, it's kusa and then the W's, the woo 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 woo. And I know in like Brazil it's like Huey or something. Hee 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 ha 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 ha. Huey 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 Huey. Ja ja ja. Yeah, the jazz. They get me. K- 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 I love the W's for Japan, just being that it looks like for them it's like meant to represent grass is really funny to me. I think it's kind of a cute image. I was thinking about something actually, and I guess I might just broach it to those of you who may be listening. So like typical, so I was thinking of like chin shape and I guess general face shape in general, but so like you have the kind of typical triangular shape, although not as triangular as someone like Kenmochi Toya, who looks like a pizza triangle, and whose fans are absolutely insane. But like I was trying to decide between triangle, like that type of Ikimen triangle face, versus maybe a more kind of squarish jaw just at the bottom. Just like slightly more square, just for the base of the chin, and then you would just have the regular, jawline. Pizza triangle. Yeah, yeah. Wait, hang on. I can definitely pick him up. Um, he's pretty cool. I won't lie. He's a pretty interesting character. If I type in pizza, surely I can. Nope, that's just a Vox Occuma pizza. Wait, no. If I just type in chin. There's just a photo of him with a Tsukino Mito in the background, and he looks insane. Come on, are his fans like just absolutely wild memes of him? Pineapple on pizza. I've never actually had it. I feel bad for just jumping on the, because it's fun to bully the VTuber when they mention it. I like pineapple and pizza. I want to try it. And if it is just disgusting, then I can objectively bully you guys, because my opinion on tastes and things is objective. Everyone else's is subjective, but mine is objective. That's a really cute art of Kenmochi. I'm trying to find. Maybe if I search on Twitter, I can find it. Kenmochi chin. That'll definitely bring up something. Surely. There's no memes. It's so lame. I like it when the pineapple is cold, though, not piping hot. I feel like, yeah, because you're like, I can't imagine eating a hot, other than like something in like some kind of pie or crust, like apple strudel or something. I can't imagine eating a hot vegetable on pizza. Like I feel like it would be better if there's like kind of a coldness to it that kind of contrasts with the pizza. Oh yes, oh no, wait, hang on. This might be this is fan art that someone did. I don't want to. You know what? Just look up Niji Sanji's Kenmochi Toya Chin. You'll definitely find one of them. But I actually realized that if I was going to take something, I would be taking like someone's fan art and I'd be showing it on stream, and I wouldn't feel good about doing that without. It'd feel awkward doing that just in general, especially if I don't have. I could easily say what their account is or something, but at the same time I'd be doing it without their permission, and that wouldn't be cool of me. Now that I don't have the book, I'm gonna have to do a stream or two I won't have my crutch to help me. I'll have to find a new book very quick. I'm trying to look for one that's kind of short, but I know is very interesting. I can go through. I can tear apart my bookshelf in a while and find one. I'm really looking forward. I have a new book all about medieval Ireland, so I'm really looking forward to getting into that one. And I also have another one on the way. That's all about kind of this idea of the perennial philosophy that's found throughout all the major world religions of the one and the many, which is essentially Plato and what Plato talks about with the idea of the good. This sort of grounding of all being, the source of all being. But I won't get into it because this isn't a philosophy stream. I should do. I really want to try philosophy streams, but I don't want to be revealed as someone who just vaguely understands and is talking out of his ass. You know what? One of the nice things that will be pretty cool when I get my model. It's going to be having a mouth that moves it'll just open when I talk, and it will blink a little bit, but it'll be something slightly different to just the still image of me. I think one of the things I'm looking forward to actually. Sorry, I got distracted popping. One of the things I'm looking forward to is seeing kind of the defined musculature musculature of the character. There's not a lot of skin showing. I mean, it's very much similar to what you guys see here. And he became a popping cat. No, I will not be a cat boy. Although I might have some sort of animal feature on the model. You'll just have to wait and see. But because the sketches that I've seen so far, you know, they were just very general. Yeah, resist the catboy allegations. I will, Kankuro. Welcome in, welcome in. You're obviously a puppet. No lonely puppet man VTuber is going to turn me into a puppet. He's gonna wrap me in his strings and steal me away, and I'll come back with with strings all attached. He'll like be controlling me from the background. He's the mastermind behind all the VTubers. His plan, like the Niji Sanjification thing that they do, where they just pump out ridiculous amounts of VTubers until everyone will become a VTuber. Kankuro plans to turn us all into puppets. There's a lot of interesting designs for VTubers. I think you I remember I saw one before. It was just a bubble man. He looked like the bubble man from SpongeBob in that one episode, and I thought that was such a based idea. But I believe he was gone by the time I saw him. Who else? A very interesting model that kind of scares me a little is I saw a chair. A chair jump. Okay, look. If I can't wait for the collab with Table Gun. All I can imagine is that he comes in. You guys are laughing at my chair. Oh. All I can imagine is you join his stream and you chat, and he goes, "Hi, please take a seat." They just grins at you with his, I don't know, he's a chair. He can't grin. And welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Must_broke_. Thank you very much for the first time chat. He does sound like a lewd tuber, doesn't he? Or maybe she. Take a seat, indeed. It's all just an elaborate plan for a very particular fetish. Oh god, it's so funny, dude. The concept. Take a seat. Yeah, exactly, Haru. Maybe he has like a redeem. He has a redeem for a couple of like 1,000 points. That's like take a seat on Chairkun, and then his audio gets really muffled or something. You can't hear him. Write that down. Yeah, you know what? Fuck being a Fiannan warrior. I'm gonna become a chair. I'm gonna become a stool. I have to differentiate myself. I can't just copy him and be a chair. I'll be a stool, or maybe like a. It's just a chair squeaking. Maybe I can be like a beanbag chair. Oh, thank you for the love emote, Mustbrook. Oh my god. I can just imagine a whole like family kitchen. The whole family kitchen of ASMR VTubers. There's like the 4 chair VTubers, a table VTuber, the microwave that no one likes. He's a little radioactive, he's a little toxic. He's a little little crazy. The spoon VTuber. I'm gonna fall off my chair laughing. I apologize to anyone who came here for ASMR. Dude, you could have a whole house of VTubers with this power of scaling. This is technically possible. Oh yeah, you could just, you know what, all like one of the major corpos should just release a wave that's just a house. It's just a house and all, and inside the house, all the VTubers are various items. Knowing Niji Sanji, their lamp VTuber will be called something like Illumina. Illumina. I think that of all the times I've been lurking here today is the most intriguing. Here today is the most intriguing. I'm gonna be honest, I usually just read books or chat. I've played a game once. They all just make furniture innuendos. The utensils are like grasp me firmly and put me in your mouth. Usually Musbrook, I usually just read books. Oh my god, guys, I actually have an idea. I have a clip that I can now have for a stream. It's not just me reading a book. Fuck. My stomach hurts. I think the Game Cube or Xbox streamer would be the best one. He'd be the real gamer of the group. Oh my god, you could have a whole gamer wave of just various Xbox, PlayStation, PC. And the PC guy is like really arrogant and cocky because he's better than the other ones. Okay, I think okay, I think I'm oh no. With the cop VTubers just want you, no, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm a say so streamer. I don't say such lewd things. Nah, water bottle VTuber with a Hydrogen no cooldown. They all no cooldown. But wouldn't like a water bottle VTuber be always hydrated? Well, I guess he might be empty of water. Like when you redeem, but like he doesn't take a sip of water. Something outside of him takes a sip of water of him, and when he runs out of water, he ends stream. So viewers are like directly capable of like forcing him to end stream in like a matter of minutes. That seems like a terrible idea for like antis. For like if he like angered anyone at all, they could just force him to end stream. Oh. Fuck. Thank you for joining. For those of you who are still listening to this absolutely wacky rant, the end stream redeem would have me on the edge all the time. No, it wouldn't even be like an end stream redeem. It would be like sip redeems, and every redeem would lower the water level bit by bit until it gets to the very end, and then it just ends. It immediately ends. Would you be killing him? You're like sucking out his insides. Those of you who are still listening in, I apologize though for those of you who came for the ASMR. I was reading, and I've been told that it is nice to listen to my voice, but this was a little different. But if you're enjoying it and you'd like to see me again sometime, I would very much appreciate a follow. And check my profile for Twitter, where you can follow me there as well. I need to set up commands. Cancro, I might ask you later how to set up commands. I think I need to get some bot or something, but I don't know which one's good or whatever. Cancro is a very cool VTuber as well. You guys should definitely go follow him. That sounds so wrong. I know. But I think so dumb. I think I'm going to speaking of water, drown check. I've been sipping at water as we go. Um, Hello, Clever. I hope you've enjoyed listening in on this wackiness. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Okay. But I think I am going to let's see if there's anyone to raid. And I will have to keep it contained to ASMR VTubers, I suppose. Because, nah, I was just checking Twitter. Ah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. I hope you found something fun and interesting. Who to raid, who to raid. I guess, hang on, 2 seconds. I think we will raid into Cat Kings. She's I've watched her stuff a couple of times and it's quite nice, quite relaxing. When I'm not doing ASMR like streams, I will try and raid into other people. But I feel like if people come here to relax or whatever, oops, if people come here to relax, then you know you want to send them to another streamer that isn't just going to immediately blow out their ears. But I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. It was a pleasure, and I had really great fun reading, finishing off the book, and the silliness that was the end of that conversation. I'd very much appreciate a follow, and thank you all for... Hang on, let me just get the rate up so that it doesn't become weird. Here we are. Okay. So, thank you for the stream. No bother at all, Musbrook. I hope to see you around again. Thank you. Thank you so much, Diamandis. Thank you so much for the follow. We're just ending stream now, unfortunately, but it's welcome in. And that actually is my 50th follower. Yeah. Thank you. So I wonder. Will we reach a certain milestone? Now on Twitch, will Jeff Bezos look at my channel and bestow it upon me? Clonk, thank you for the stream. No bother at all. Affiliate. I think because I was over affiliate arc soon. I know, and maybe new model soon. New model. Who knows? Partner arc. I don't think so, Daya. But you know what? I like your optimism. I like the optimism. My PC is getting very angry at me because I think no wait, it's relaxing now. But we'll keep going. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Please, I guess we'll just say,